Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me today. We're going to look at a little bit of a complex editing situation in Photoshop where we need to split off the foreground from the background to correct some angles. That was a long intro, but it'll make sense. So like I've just said, today's video actually came in as a request because somebody is really struggling with wonky trees in the background, but the subject itself is kind of level and they want to basically straighten the trees in the background and keep the kind of general feel of the foreground. So that's what we're going to do today with an image that kind of illustrates this issue roughly, kinda, and well, let's get stuck in. So if you've not joined us here before, then hi, I'm Jess. I'm a photographer person. I do photographs reasonably regularly and I have for over 10 years. If you'd like to join us for the long haul, please do press the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. The bell icon will help you out, so it'll give you a notification every single time I upload a video. I upload every single week on Fridays at 12 noon UK time, and sometimes more than that if I feel like it and if I have time. So we've got this image of Pippi, which hopefully you guys can see nice and clearly on the screen here. Now, the trees are going a bit kind of drunk to one side, a little bit lopsided, a little bit wonky. And what we want to essentially do is split them off, straighten the trees up, and retain the foreground. Now, I haven't picked a particularly easy picture to do this on. We've got Pippi on a log, but it's the only one I could find that really illustrates this issue on my hard drives that are plugged into the computer. So we're going to give it a go and see where we end up. So what you want to do when you first open up the image is duplicate the background layer. And we always duplicate the background layer here because basically that's just what I do. I think it's good because you keep your original layer for safekeeping. So what we've done is duplicate the background layer by doing a Command J or a Control J if you're on Windows. And that basically gives us this new background layer that we can start working with. Because we're going to be splitting the image into sections, we need to know what masks do, we need to know what layers do. If you don't know those two things, please do go ahead and watch a basics video, which I will link above. Or if you would prefer, you can have a bit more of a deep dive into Photoshop basics with our Photoshop for Beginners course. I'll try and link that above as well, but who knows if that will work. With this, we need to ascertain what is in the midground, what is in the foreground, and where we're looking. So let me go ahead and draw some stuff so that it's super clear for everybody who is joining us. So what we're going to do is really just have a deep dive look at what is actually the foreground, what's the midground, what's the background, and all sorts of other stuff. So I'm going to do this with the help of my amazing drawing skills. They don't exist. And we're going to look at this. Okay, so what we can see essentially is that we have got foreground's here. Okay, this bit is the foreground because it's out of focus, right? So that's a foreground. Let's remove those. We then have the midground. Now the midground is anything that's in focus. We've got a little bit here, we've got a little bit coming kind of like down here, and then obviously we have the doggo, right? So that is all midground. Now we have to also include part of the subject because we can't split that off. And to be fair, we also need to ascertain what is straight and what is wonky. Now this is actually quite straight. I'm all right with this little slope kind of happening down here. So it's kind of really everything from this point across. So right from here, through the back of the subject and across. So it's all of these trees that are kind of off on this kind of weird angle that are the issue. So with that beautiful drawing, I should win an award for that. We're going to go ahead and start to piece this apart. So we know we need to get the black bit separate. Let me put the Wacom down because we don't need her anymore. Oh, knock my pen over. Okay, so we need to split this apart using masks. We can go ahead and go into select and mask because select and mask does help us out. So we go select, select and mask. When we're in select and mask, what we can do is go ahead and select the subject or make a selection to select the subject. I'm just going to do select subject. Okay, so that has selected the subject really, really nicely, but I'm going to add to it. So I'm going to use essentially the quick selection tool, which is up here at the top, and with that on the plus, I'm going to go ahead and use my keyboard shortcuts. There's a video on that, I will link it above. We can go ahead and actually add to this selection. So remembering where we were happy with and where we weren't happy with, you can do this kind of all the way through, or you can just go ahead and grab the brush tool, which is a very kind of crude way of getting from A to B. I'm going to grab the brush, make sure we're on plus because we're adding to the selection. And then with a reasonably hard edge for me, I'm going to go ahead and just whiz that across there. So now I can't actually remember exactly where we need to be, but with the help of this little toggle up here for opacity, I can bring her down and see the division. So actually, you know, we are kind of in the right place. There's a little bit of red up here. We don't want that. And bring that across. So that'll do for me. That's fine. Okay, so then we want to go ahead and refine the edge of the mask to go around the hair of the subject. I'm not going to go through this in this video because it'll make it too long, but there is a hair masking video as well. I'll link that above. I think that might have used this picture actually. Okay, so with a rough mask, this is our mask. Okay, so with a rough mask kind of achieved, what we can do is start to use mask theory to connect all of the dots. So anything that is black on a layer for a mask is ignored. So therefore, on this particular layer, the white bit is what is visible. Okay, so what we can do is go ahead and duplicate that entire layer and the mask, but invert the mask. Okay, inverting the mask will make just the background visible. From here, what I'm going to actually do is only look at this particular layer. Okay, so I'm only looking at this layer because I held down Option and clicked the little eye. I can then go to the mask and alter it. So we're leaving the mask that we've got down here, which is a close one. And what we're going to do basically is destroy that mask on this layer. So we're brushing through with white to see more of Pippi. And then what we're going to do is remove Pippi from this layer. So you could do a content aware fill. Let's go for it and see what happens. It would be better to have the entire Pippi in that. Pippi's the dog, by the way. Content aware fill, which we've done before. Shift backspace, enter. There's a video on that on the channel, 5 ways to remove stuff in Photoshop, and then using another one of those methods, we can go ahead and just heal up that area. So I'm going to grab a sample from up here, and I'm going to move that down here, and then we're going to whiz that down. Okay, so what we're doing is we're kind of like healing the situation. Now if we turn on the layer underneath, move that up to the top because that's got Pippi in, what we end up with is essentially a background that's completely independent of the top. Ignore the lines. Most people would panic at this point. Don't panic, there's no need to panic. Then we want to grab the background layer. Let's title these. Then we want to grab the background layer and do a Command T. That transforms, okay? We've been here before. So we're going to transform, and we're going to probably make it a little bit bigger as well, because why not? And we just want to settle those trees out nicely. So about there, that's fine. And then we just need to heal up these individual areas. So again, looking at just that layer by itself, we can go ahead and start to fill in the blanks. Now we could delete the layer mask or disable it to see kind of what we're working with. Either or is absolutely fine. So I'm going to start to just heal up these background areas. Gives us a longer strip. And what we'll do is just go ahead and see how well or how badly Content Aware Fill handles all of that. That's fine. Genuinely it is, because you can't see that, right? So if you turn Pippi on, you can't see that. We're going to grab the Pippi mask, grab a brush, a big soft brush, and at this point what we want to do is just go through and reconnect midground to foreground where necessary, right? Okay, so we're straightening things up, remember, so we need to make sure that we've got a good division where needed. Don't know what that line is. That is actual Pippi. Okay, this is fine. So we know we need to just bring back a little bit more of Peep. Blend together and We've gone from wonky background to straight background, wonky background to straight background. And you can touch up as much as you want, clone away stuff, have a ball, I don't care, you do you. Just make sure that you're happy with it in the end, and then, you know, everything else will fall into place. So that's how, in a long convoluted way, but also a way that works, to straighten out the background of an image if the background's on the tilt but the subject is pretty solid. Well, I hope that was helpful for the person who requested it. I will hopefully edit this image and add it in somewhere. That would be good. If you enjoyed this video, please do let us know in the comments below and subscribe, because I'd love to see you back here in the future. See you soon.